Okay, so now we're going to go over the same exact TEK, except we're going to be adding and subtracting mixed fractions. The reason we call them mixed fractions, just as a review, is because if you look at these mixed fractions, they contain a mixture, right, of a whole number and a fraction. Okay, so same deal as we talked about in the previous video with just simple fractions like 2 over 3, 1 over 4. When we were adding and subtracting, we needed to have a common denominator, which means that the denominators needed to be the same. So same deal here, regardless that it's a mixed fraction, we still, the rule still applies. So if I look at this first example, I have 7, 2 over 3, plus 6, 1 over 4. First things first, we don't have a common denominator, and so let's go ahead and try to add the fractions first. Okay, but before that, let's go ahead and figure that out. So one trick I showed you in the previous video was, instead of having to list out all the numbers, you can go ahead and just multiply the bottom by this number. So 3 times 4, what you do here, you have to do to the top. And then this 4 by that 3. And again, what you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. So now I have 7. 2 times 4 is 8. Over 3 times 4 is 12. And then plus 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Oops. Let me write that up here. 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. Notice that I wrote everything out, right? So I wrote the 7, I wrote the 6 out. The only thing I changed was this fraction here. Okay, these fractions here, those were the only ones I messed with. The 7 and the 6, the whole numbers, I leave them there. Okay, so now I can go ahead and add these. So let's go ahead and add the fractions first. So 8 plus 3 is 11. Over 12, and then I can go ahead and add 7 plus 6, and that gives me 13. Okay, so there you go. That's for adding mixed fractions. Again, the reason I know that we had covered this in class, the reason I like to, or we should, add the fractions first is because sometimes your numerator may end up being a bit more than the top, which would give you an improper fraction. So what I mean is, let's say you got 12 over 13. So this would be an improper. Okay, then I would have to change it into a mixed fraction, which would just end up being 1 and 1/13. And then this 1, I would end up having to add it to these two. Okay, so again, I like to add the fractions first, just to be sure that we don't have to, turn that one into a mixed fraction and then add it along with these two. Okay, so this is my answer. Now let's look over here. So I have 8 1/2 minus 6 1/4 equals, okay, so we'll go ahead and figure that out. So that 2, I can multiply it by this 4. 1, I have to do the same for this one. 4, can multiply it by that 2. Makes things a lot easier. So now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my new mixed fraction. So I have 8, 4 over 8 minus 6, 2 over 8. Again, subtract the fractions first. So 4 minus 2 over 8 is 2 over 8. 8 minus 6 is 2. I can go ahead and simplify this part. I can divide the top by 2, bottom by 2, because I want to make it smaller, but still have the same, pretty much the same, it's the same thing. Okay, so 2 out of 8 would end up being 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 2, 1 over 4 is the same as saying 2, 2 over 8, just that we're making it a bit simpler and smaller. So here you have it for adding and subtracting mixed fractions. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment, and I'll be sure to respond to you as soon as possible. Okay?